As a parent, could you not believe you had to explain to another parent? 1. I have a friend at work who is pretty immature, and he decided to have a baby with his wife. Since he seemed to be a narcissistic personality, a bunch of us were worried. Baby years weren't so bad because mostly he was disinterested. But when his daughter became a toddler, the trouble started. He came in one day really upset. He was rushing her to get ready for daycare and forcing her to put her clothes on, and she threw a temper tantrum. He continued to dress her and she bit him. So he bit her back really hard to teach her a lesson. His wife was furious with him. I explained that he was the adult and he needed to teach his daughter not to bite. But by biting her back he taught her that biting is acceptable, that the stronger person bites last and hardest, and to not trust her father when she was losing control. He told me that tantrums were just children trying to manipulate their parents. I made him understand that toddlers had tantrums when they lost control of a situation or themselves. He said it happened every morning. I asked how long he gave the child to get up and get ready. He sheepishly said that he wakes them up and immediately dresses them, and feeds them about 15 manures before he has to walk out the door. I suggested he wake up his kids an hour before they have to leave, give them time to wake up and dress themselves, eat a relaxed breakfast, maybe pick out the clothes the night before together. He said, "You act like they aren't kids but real people." I said, "Yes, I do, because they are." I asked how he would feel if someone was forcing him to wake up quickly, get dressed, if he didn't do it fast enough, actually start to dress you, and if he got upset, not stop and address his distress. He looked flabbergasted. I think it dawned on him for the first time to put himself in his kids' shoes and think of them as other than an extension of himself that he had to do things for. I wish I could say this helped, but I know his 12-year-old daughter no longer will speak to him, and now that he and his wife are divorced, the daughter refuses to see him. 2. My neighbor had a little girl. She was about 11 at the time this happened. She wanted to go with my older kids to the swim park. They didn't have room to take her, so I had to tell her she couldn't go. I felt bad about it really. Her mom called me and her main argument for why she could go was that she had already started her menstrual cycle. I thought she thought it was because she was younger than the others, so I told her it was space. But she just kept insisting she had her menstrual cycle. The conversation went downhill from there. I finally asked what that had to do with it and she said, "So you don't have to be worried." I feel like she was saying it like she started her period now, so she's automatically smarter and more mature, and I'm trying to tell her that's not how that works, but I shall never know what the menstrual cycle had to do with it. 3. I'm not a parent, but as a teacher I had to explain to a mother about bedtimes and sleep for a 7-year-old. Her son was always tired and had difficulty staying awake during class. He was not working to his potential. His mom came to discuss his poor grades. Come to find out, she was under the impression that he slept too much. So, she kept him up to midnight and had him get up at 6:00 a.m. No wonder the poor lad was always tired. I would be, too. So, I explained to her that growing children needed at least 10 hours of sleep nightly as their bodies were growing, and sleeping gave their bodies time to rest, heal, and grow. She started having him go to bed at 8:00, especially on school nights. Within a week, he was brighter, more chipper, and the quality of his work improved immensely. The interesting part? About a month later, he gave me a big hug and thanked me for telling his mom he needed to go to bed earlier. 4. My daughter became a mom at age 22. She is of this generation where they like to take selfies all day long, watch random videos, and scroll through Instagram or whatever. I'm not judging, they all do it. But she had to live with me for a while when she was in between apartments, and I noticed that while she was being an attentive mom as far as feeding, and changing, and caring for her daughter, she never really talked to her. She would put her to play on her little play mats or in her playpen, but again not much communication going on. I had to tell her that it was important for her to actually talk to her baby, that even though she can't speak yet, that is how she is going to learn, by hearing you speak and seeing your expressions as you talk with her. My granddaughter was a late talker, so I was a little worried for a minute. But, now, at age 4 she talks circles around all of us. She is funny and bright and articulate. I think the teacher part of me is always worried about language acquisition and development. But I also think it is one of those things that new parents just don't realize, that it's good for the baby to hear mom and dad speaking and talking and engaging them in conversation, even if all they can do is smile and coo back. 5. Not me, and not quite a parent yet, but my mom and another woman, both expecting babies any day, were knitting baby things together when the other woman looked at mom and said, "You know, sometimes when I look at my belly button and see how small it is, I can't believe it's going to open up big enough for a baby to come out." Mom couldn't believe it. She explained that the baby was going to come out through the same hole the sperm went in through, and the woman was amazed. Imagine how frightening it would have been for her if she hadn't learned the truth before she went into labor. 6. I guess I shouldn't have been surprised, because I guess not a lot of people know. It's a taboo subject. So I had a baby boy. He was stillborn. We were told to go home and we could either come back the next day to be induced, or we could wait for nature to take its course and labor to start naturally. We chose to come back the next day because I couldn't just wait. We went home and someone had brought me some lunch. Not that I could eat, but I managed to have a couple of bites. My stepmother-in-law had come over and got really freaked out that I had eaten a few mouthfuls. She believed that because our baby had died, I would have to have a cesarean. She didn't realize that a stillbirth meant I still had to give birth vaginally. She wasn't the only one. I was surprised at how many people don't realize that you are actually delivering a baby. It's not a miscarriage, it's not clots and cells, it's a fully formed baby that requires a funeral, a burial, or cremation. They have fingers and toes, they have hair, their skin is normal. A stillbirth is still a birth.